The charcoal briquets, arguably one of the most popular and famous fuel methods for everyday barbecue grilling adventures. As far as we can tell, the first patent was around 1895, and you'll be surprised to find out that they were not intended for barbecue grills, but common wood-burning kitchen household appliances. Eventually, these little guys made their way to Henry Ford, where he was able to use them in his plants and production processes, and he very cleverly labeled them as the fuel of 100 uses. And then they finally made their way to Edward and Minnie Kingsford, and the rest was history. But today I want to call your attention to brand new briquettes made by FOGO. And I can guarantee you these are not the same briquettes that your dad used to use. Let's dive in. Okay, so today I figured that we'll do an initial light and just kind of see how the FOGO compares to the Kingsfords. And we'll take a handful of briquettes and we'll light them up. And I actually got the FOGO igniter and we'll compare that to the Weber cubes and we'll just see how long they go for, how hot they get, and give you guys an idea of what the differences really are. I thought this was a great opportunity to use the fire starters just as is without a chimney starter or anything else. So we're going to be taking a look at the FOGO fire starter versus the Weber cubes, and we'll be looking at the charcoal. First off, we're going to grab some Kingsfords. For both brands, I'm going to grab about 10 briquettes, place them at the center of the grill with the fire starter right in the middle, and then we're just going to go ahead and ignite them. The FOGO fire starters are advertised as all natural and sourced from aspen wood with a vegetable wax, and they have this unique design that allows for maximum airflow to make them a bit more consistent. The Weber cubes are advertised as odorless, non-toxic, and made from paraffin wax. Off the bat, initially what I did notice was the FOGO one is a lot harder to ignite initially, and it doesn't get going quite as fast as the Weber cubes. The Weber cubes are really easy to ignite, and then they just start roaring. I suspect the FOGO is going to last longer though. So let's take a look at each briquette. So I'm going to put a couple on the table and let's just take a look at them and see what the differences are. Starting off with the Kingsfords, you can oftentimes find a 16-pound bag for about 10 bucks. They're 100% natural and they're sourced from North American wood. Now they do use limestone and starch as their binders, but Kingsford's has gotten some bad rep recently for having borax as their release press. The FOGO can be found for $15.99 for about a 15-pound bag, and they are 100% natural. What's really interesting is they're obtained from coconut shells, and their binders are plant-derived. I can definitely feel a physical difference between the two, with the FOGO feeling much denser, and there's no mention of borax. Okay, so now that they're both kind of gotten going, yeah, there's a huge difference. The FOGO definitely has more of a woody smell, and it seems to be burning a lot cleaner. There's not a lot of smoke, but they're both lit, and they're both really hot, so, no problems there. Okay, and definitely the Kingsfords are lit as well, also hot. It's amazing how much just 10 pieces of briquettes will actually generate a lot of heat. The Kingsfords are smoking a lot more, and they have that traditional charcoal smell. The Kingsfords are ashing over very quickly, and FOGO is taking a little bit longer, but they both are really hot. So let's take out the thermal cameras and let's see what they both look like. Okay, the good news is they're both fully lit and are generating a lot of heat, but the thermal imaging camera is showing us that they're both very different in personalities. The Kingsford's running out of steam and becoming unsustainable, and the thermal imaging camera is showing us that the FOGO is running much more efficiently and ironically hotter than the Kingsford's, and I think that all goes back to the density. Okay, I want to get nerdy for just a second, but I promise I'll keep it very, very light. Kingsford's and the Weber cubes took about 12 minutes. The FOGO took 20 minutes. The maximum temperatures achieved when they were fully lit and fresh, Kingsford's had 240 degrees Fahrenheit, with FOGO coming in at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. After 1 hour, Kingsford's about 180 degrees at 8.5 briquettes out of 10. FOGO had 225 degrees with all 10 briquettes still going.
After an hour and a half, Kingsford's was at 140, FOGO at 205. 2 hours and 15 minutes, Kingsford's was done, FOGO was still going strong at 190. 2 hours and 30 minutes later, FOGO was at 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and at 2 hours and 45 minutes, FOGO was at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And just after 3 hours, the FOGO was finally done. And you can also see the ash comparison. The FOGO was much cleaner, much more consistent with less ash. The Kingsfords generated a lot of ash. So I hope you found that entertaining. The FOGO briquettes kept reminding me of my favorite bag, the black lump charcoal. So I invited some family and friends over for a good old-fashioned backyard barbecue. And I wanted to really get to the core of what I love about this lump charcoal brand. Besides having large quality pieces, I found myself enjoying some very key factors. They run hot. They're clean burning, consistent, reliable, and dependable. And I was finding those exact same key characteristics in the everyday version of the briquettes. And not to mention that key signature wood flavor from FOGO. All of that combined just makes grilling much more enjoyable.
Now, something I wanted to kind of do was I got a couple of Porterhouses and I wanted to use the FOGO briquettes to kind of do sort of a low and slow and sear the steak at the end using the Weber diffuser plate, but not necessarily smoke something. I didn't want to add any smoke at all. I just want the product, the charcoal, to flavorize the meat. So I wanted to specifically see if there was any like wood taste to the steak. And then I'm also looking for, is it easy to maintain? Is it easy to keep the temperatures? How fast does it light? And what kind of flavor is it giving you? And is it clean burning? So I think the Porterhouse was a good test of it. And I think as you'll see in the video, the steak came out great.
I also picked up the FOGO Blazaball. I kept calling it Blazeball, but it is Blazaball. It's kind of odd, but that's besides the point. I was very excited to check these out, but if I'm being honest with you guys, it's not going to replace my chimney starter for everyday use, but I'm definitely going to take it with me camping because it's quite effective and portable. Now I really wanted to check out the briquettes again after using the FOGO lump charcoal. So I removed all the leftover lump charcoal from the previous cook, threw in the briquettes, used the FOGO Blazaball, and got them going. The Weber diffuser plate's going to ensure that we can get some low and slow temperatures while maintaining enough time for that wood flavor to penetrate the steak. And I really want to taste the actual flavor profile from the briquettes. I know exactly what the lump charcoal tastes like. We seasoned the steaks with one of my favorite rubs, the FOGO rub, and it's a very mild rub that complements that wood flavor. And then we busted out my combustion ink predictive thermometer to make sure that we got the perfect internal temperatures. If you're looking for a smart wireless thermometer and you can't figure out which one to buy, I recently did a comparison video between all of the major brands like Meter, the Meat Stick, Combustion Ink, and even the Twin Temp Spike. We cleaned off the grilling grades and we got cooking. You know, this thing's really grown on me and I'm really liking it. Now, the company does advertise around 50 cooks out of it because like all things that are in contact with direct frames, they have a limited lifespan, but I suspect you can get a lot more because it's really well made. And now we're done with low and slow. It's time to get the diffuser plate off and get those charcoal briquettes ripping hot to sear the steaks. And you can see just how efficient the FOGO was and how quickly we were able to get back up to temperature to get a perfect sear.
Okay, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that the Kingsfords are terrible and you shouldn't buy them. They were my everyday charcoal brand. Those of you that watch me know that I've been promoting the Kingsfords original for quite some time. But those of you that follow me very closely know that the FOGO black bag, the lump charcoal, is my absolute favorite and it's my personal favorite. It's what I use personally when I'm cooking for family and friends. But in LA and California, it's just so hard to get. So I tend to use the Kingsfords on camera and the FOGO privately. And we'll talk about availability in California, especially Los Angeles, in just a minute. I got some tips for you that we could probably change that trend a little bit more and get FOGO down here. I would love to do like a low and slow brisket, but not with the Weber Master Touch Premium just yet. I am working on getting another grill, a grill that I know all of you have been asking me to try to get for a review, and that's in the works. But as soon as I get that, then we'll add some FOGO and we'll do a low and slow and we'll do a nice brisket and show you guys the characteristics of the briquettes. But I really think that with the lump charcoal now and the briquettes, I'm good. I'm switching over to FOGO completely. Now, as far as my final thoughts, it really comes down to you're getting what you pay for. And although the FOGO is a little bit more expensive, it's well worth it. You're getting cleaner, longer, and hotter fuel that's just gonna save you a bunch of headaches. And as their slogan says, it really is the first ingredient. I saw that and witnessed that firsthand with the steak. We didn't add any wood at all, and it still had a very nice woody taste to it. A neighbor of mine actually has severe allergies, and anytime anybody lights up charcoal, she just starts coughing and doesn't like the smell. And her feedback was with the FOGO, although it's still not pleasant, you know, in her case, it's a lot better. It's a lot cleaner burning, and it does have more of like a firewood smell than a chemical like charcoal smell, traditional charcoal smell. So that's definitely positive feedback. Now, going back to how can you get FOGO if it's not available locally? I know that Ace Hardware is supposed to carry it, but here in LA, especially in LA, I go to almost any Ace Hardware nearby and I always get the same response. If they have it, they have it. If they don't, I mean, that's just, it is what it is. And I did talk to a couple store managers that encouraged me to buy it online and ship it to the store, but it's just so inconvenient because you want it readily available. The good news is FOGO does ship directly to you. If you buy it from FOGO directly, it ships straight to you, and I think it's free shipping. But if we want to get them in stores in Southern California, then I encourage you to do what those store managers said, buy it online, ship it to the store, and then nag the store manager that you want it available at the store. Do the same thing with Home Depot, with Lowe's, and so forth. And I guarantee you, once they see a lot of people wanting the product, they'll start stocking it. Is all this effort worth it? Well, for those of you that have tried FOGO, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you that haven't, I highly recommend you buy a bag for yourself and check them out. That's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.